Hey everyone, and welcome back. We always try to bring you deep dives on important topics, and today is no exception. We're diving into the world of PhD students, specifically some new research about burnout among PhD students in Spain.
Yeah, this is a really important topic, and this research really digs deep.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that doing a PhD is tough, right?
Mhm.
It's like years of intense work, pressure to publish, maybe even teaching on top of it all. But
Right.
what this research really gets at is how common burnout is among these students.
Yeah, it's actually pretty alarming. The study found over half of the PhD students they looked at, they experienced really high levels of emotional exhaustion.
Over half. So we're not talking about, just needing an extra cup of coffee in the morning.
No, no, this is serious stuff. These students are just like completely drained, running on empty.
Wow. And it doesn't stop there, right? There's another dimension to this depersonalization, they called it. Yeah, depersonalization.
Yeah.
And it's basically feeling cynical, detached from your work, almost like you're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And that's a really bad sign. It's like you're losing your passion, your connection to the work that, probably got you excited about doing a PhD in the first place.
Right, and it makes you wonder what's causing this. Is it just the nature of PhD studies, or are there other factors at play?
Well, this study points to a few key things. One of the biggest, job security, or rather, the lack of it.
Okay, so tell me more about that. How does job security or the lack thereof contribute to this?
So in Spain, a lot of PhD students, they don't have these predoctoral contracts. And basically what that means is that they don't have a formal employment agreement before they even begin their PhD.
Oh, I see. So there's this huge amount of uncertainty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're trying to focus on cutting-edge research, but in the back of their minds, they're constantly worried about their finances, their future. It's a huge burden.
That makes total sense. And on top of that, I understand limited research funding in Spain adds another layer of pressure, right?
Absolutely. You're trying to do groundbreaking research, but you're constantly hitting roadblocks because you don't have the resources. It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together.
So it's this combination of internal and external pressures. It's not just in their heads, it's the environment too.
Precisely.
And speaking of the environment, this next finding was really interesting to me. It highlights the importance of relationships, particularly between students and their advisors.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Having someone who is there to guide you through the process.
Oh, absolutely. A good advisor, they can be like, I don't know, like a mentor, a sounding board, sometimes even a cheerleader.
Right, like they can make or break the whole experience.
They really can. I mean, think about it. They offer guidance, encouragement, practical help. PhD research can be so isolating. And having someone in your corner who understands the challenges, who can help you navigate the ups and downs, that's invaluable. Totally. But what happens when that relationship isn't so great? When the advisor isn't supportive?
Well, that's the flip side, right? Instead of being a source of support, it becomes another source of pressure. Like
Yeah.
instead of guiding you up the mountain, they're like cutting your ropes.
Oof. Yeah, not good. And this study actually found that a lot of students weren't totally happy with the level of support they got from their advisors.
Yeah, especially when it came to things like teaching responsibilities.
Mm.
A lot of PhD programs, they require students to teach, and it can be a lot to handle on top of everything else.
Mm.
And these students, they felt like they weren't getting enough guidance on how to manage it all.
Yeah, that's a lot to juggle. And I imagine it can feel overwhelming if you don't have someone experienced to help you navigate it all.
Exactly. And it just highlights how important it is for institutions to really prioritize these advising relationships. It's not just about ticking a box, it's about creating an environment where students feel truly supported and empowered, not just academically, but personally too.
So we've talked about these external factors like job security, funding, the advisor-student relationship. But I'm curious, did the study look at all at the role of, I don't know, individual strengths? Like, are there certain qualities that can help students deal with all of this pressure?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, yes, the researchers found that emotional intelligence can play a big role in buffering against burnout.
Emotional intelligence, so like being aware of your own emotions and being able to manage them.
Exactly. And also being able to recognize and understand the emotions of others. So, imagine a student hits a major setback in their research. Someone with high emotional intelligence, they're going to be able to acknowledge their frustration, their disappointment. But instead of letting those emotions completely derail them, they can use those feelings constructively.
So they can kind of channel those emotions in a positive way to problem solve, to seek support.
Right. And that brings us to another strength that the study highlighted, resilience.
Resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks.
Exactly. It's like having a superpower.
So even if the system has its flaws, there are things students can do, tools they can develop, to navigate it more effectively, to protect themselves.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, what if PhD programs themselves took a more proactive approach to supporting student mental health and well-being? I mean, imagine if.
Yeah, imagine if. What would that even look like? How do you build well-being into a PhD program?
Well, for starters, what if, alongside all those research methods courses, students also got training in things like managing stress, emotional intelligence, building resilience, like practical skills for navigating the pressures of academia.
Like equipping them not just to survive, but to actually thrive.
Exactly. And it's not just about, one-off workshops. It's about changing the whole culture, creating an environment where it's okay to talk about mental health, where asking for help is seen as a sign of strength, not weakness.
Right, like normalizing those conversations.
Exactly. And, it would be amazing if, like, funding agencies actually considered mental health support when they're deciding where to give grants.
Oh, interesting. So, like, universities would be incentivized to actually prioritize student well-being.
Exactly. It would be a real game changer.
It's really got me thinking. I mean, this research was about Spain, but it feels like these issues are so universal, right? I mean, the pressure, the competition, the uncertainty, those are things PhD students everywhere are dealing with.
Oh, absolutely. It's a global issue. And, it makes you wonder, are we doing enough to support these students? Are we setting them up for success, or are we setting them up to burn out?
That's the big question, isn't it? Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the alarming rates of PhD burnout to the pressures these students are facing to the potential for building resilience. But I think what I really want listeners to take away from this is a sense of hope. This isn't just about highlighting a problem, it's about finding solutions.
I love that. And it's a call to action for all of us, universities, advisors, even students themselves. We all have a role to play in creating a healthier, more supportive academic environment.
Absolutely. It's about building a future for research where, brilliance and well-being, they go hand in hand.
Beautifully said.
So to everyone listening out there, stay curious, stay engaged, but most importantly, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time.